Plot summary. Kleks Academy tells the story of a young girl named Adah who, on her 12th birthday, crosses into the world of fairy tales and discovers the titular school, which is owned by Kleks, her father's brother. Here, she meets other children at the academy who, like her, have all been chosen to attend this magical school. She also learns a little more about her father, who has been missing for some time. In this ending explained article for Kleks Academy, we briefly recap the story and ask the question, is Adah reunited with her father? How does the movie begin? The beginning of Kleks Academy takes us to Adah, the realm of the Wulfur. Here, the Queen of the Wulfur talks to Prince Vincent, the King of the Wulfur, about the murderer who caused their family to suffer. She tells him this person took the form of a bird and hid in the academy. As the Queen now knows where he is, she vows to take revenge on him. We then cut to Little Poland in New York, where we meet a girl named Adah on her 12th birthday. She records a message for her father on her phone and visits a place of power that her father used to take her on her birthday. When Adah returns to her apartment, her mother turns up, but not her father. He has been missing for some time and might be in Guatemala, according to Adah's mom. Adah is upset that her mother has forgotten her birthday. Knowing her father is still missing also causes her sadness. However, she is distracted from her misery by a strange bird-like creature that appears at her bedroom window. We discover he is Prince Matthew, the person wanted by the Queen of the Wulfur. He is in bird form for reasons that are explained later. Matthew tells Adah about Kleks Academy and lets her know that Kleks is her uncle. He wants her to travel with him to the school so she can learn more about the powers inside herself. She's skeptical, so refuses to go along with what he is telling her. Does Adah go to the school? When Adah discovers her parents went to the school, she decides she should go too. She heads to the place of power with Matthew and her mom and recites a spell taught to her by Matthew. She is then transported to a fairy tale world that is populated by strange and wonderful creatures, such as a mermaid and a unicorn. Adah isn't the only person to arrive in this world. Other children are also there, ready to begin their lessons at Kleks Academy. What happens at the school? Adah and the other children meet Kleks, who teaches them about magic. He also clues them into the powers they each possess. According to him, Adah has the power of empathy. Adah meets the other students, including Albert, who becomes her friend, and a newcomer who enters the school without permission, a wolf-like creature named Snag. A little while later, Adah talks to Matthew and learns about his past. He tells her that he killed the previous king of the Wulfur, the grandfather of Prince Vincent. Before he died, the king stabbed Matthew with his claw. This should have killed Matthew, but a doctor saved his life with a magical cap that allowed him to become anything he wanted. He chose to be a bird. In theory, he should have been able to turn human again, but he lost the button that enabled him to do so. So, for now, he has to live life as a half-human, half-bird at the academy. How do the Queen and Prince Vincent enter the school? Adah spends time with Kleks, her uncle, and he gives her a pair of magical gloves that enable her to shrink in size. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a lot of time to practice this ability as news breaks out that the Wulfur have invaded the fairy tale realm. That night, Adah spots Snag running away somewhere, so she and her friend Albert give chase. They follow him through various doors that lead them into different fairy tales. Eventually, they arrive at the snowy world of the Little Match Girl. Here, Adah and Albert see Snag pointing the Wulfur in the direction of the academy. It's at this point that Albert mysteriously disappears. Back at the academy, we discover Kleks is being held prisoner by the Queen. She wants him to reveal the whereabouts of Matthew. Elsewhere at the school, Prince Vincent is giving a celebratory speech to the Wulfur. He thanks Snag for opening the doorway into the fairy tale world for them. Does Adah save Kleks Academy? Chaos erupts at the school as the Queen and her army take most of the folks there prisoner. Meanwhile, Adah goes in search of Albert and finds him in the middle of an icy lake. Apparently, he ended up there after losing sight of Adah. Adah tries to save her friend, but ultimately fails to do so as he slips from some ice and falls into the lake, where he seemingly drowns. Back at the academy, Snag tells the children that he's not the traitor they think he is. He was simply trying to show the wolfer how cool he could be. This is hardly a good excuse, but the kids buy it anyway. Adah returns to the school and runs into two of the wolfer. They take her to Prince Vincent, who transports her back to the real world. Here, she overcomes her fear of a barking dog by using the power of empathy. She then finds Matthew's button on the collar of the dog. Adah returns to the place of power and transports herself back to the school using the spell Matthew taught her. She then rescues Kleks from his cage and meets with some of the children. When Adah looks outside and notices the queen is using the power of moonlight to give strength to her army, she comes up with a plan. She instructs Kleks to take the magical ring from the queen and tells two of the children to use their powers to cover the moon with clouds. The plan is put into action, but when Adah does her best to distract the wolfer, she is knocked unconscious by Prince Vincent's magic. She wakes up to find herself chained to a post, along with Kleks and the other children. Matthew is also being held prisoner in a cage nearby. Fortunately, Adah is able to use empathetic powers on Prince Vincent. She sees into his past and realizes it's the queen's fault that he grew up to be so cruel. After she makes him understand what the queen did to him, he unties her and lets her give Matthew the button that will turn him back to normal. Following these events, Prince Vincent orders the army to take the queen captive. He then gives Adah a necklace for which to communicate with him should she ever need to. Following this, he departs with his crew. Kleks commends Adah for saving the school. He tells her she did what her father had done previously, ended a war that was full of suffering. Her father would be proud, he tells her. Does Adah reunite with her father? A year later, it's Adah's 13th birthday. She is now back in the real world where her family and neighbors are holding a surprise party for her. But there's one person missing, her father. There is a knock at the door, so Adah opens it. Who should be stood there? Well, it's not her father. It's Albert, who is alive. It's not clear how he was brought back from the lake, but what is clear is that he isn't quite himself anymore. He lifts up his top to reveal he's now part machine. Did Adah's father give him a makeover? We don't know. But just before Albert's return, we get a glimpse of an old man standing in another place. It seems unlikely that he's Adah's father as he looks far too old to be her dad. But as he might be within the fairy tale world, it's possible that he is her father as time would appear to move differently there. So, Adah isn't reunited with her dad. But if the old man is her pa, it might be that we see them reunite in the sequel.